The Shepherdess and the Chimney Sweep by Hans Christian Andersen. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mary Agnew. Have you ever seen a very, very old clothes press, quite black with age, on which all sorts of flourishes and foliage were carved? Just such a one stood in a certain room. It had been handed down as a legacy to the owner from a great-great-grandmother, and it was carved from top to bottom with roses and tulips. The most curious flourishes were to be seen on it, and between them little stags popped out their heads with zigzag antlers. But on the top a man at full length was carved. True, he was laughable to look at, for he showed his teeth laughing one could not call it, had goat's legs, little horns on his head, and a long beard. The children in the room always called him General Clothes-Press Inspector, Head Superintendent Goat-Legs, for this was a name difficult to pronounce, and there are very few who get the title. But to cut him in wood was no trifle. However, there he was. He looked down upon the table and towards the mirror, for there a charming little porcelain shepherdess was standing. Her shoes were gilded, her gown was tastefully looped up with a red rose, and she had a golden hat and cloak. In short, she was most exquisite. Close by her stood a little chimney-sweep, as black as coal, although he was made of porcelain too. He was just as clean and pretty as the rest of them. As to his being a chimney-sweep, that was only what he represented, and the porcelain manufacturer could just as well have made a prince of him as a chimney-sweep, if he had chosen. One was as easy as the other to a clever workman. There he stood, so prettily with his ladder, and with a little round face as fair and rosy as that of the shepherdess. In reality, this was a fault, for a little black he certainly ought to have been. Footnote: the flues in Germany are much larger than in the houses in England, so much so, indeed, that men only are employed as sweeps. The lower part being very wide, they have short ladders of about 8 feet in length to enable them to get up the narrower part, where they then scramble on in the usual way. End of footnote. He was quite close to the shepherdess. Both stood where they had been placed, and as soon as they were put there they had mutually promised each other eternal fidelity, for they suited each other exactly. They were young, they were of the same porcelain, and both equally fragile. Close to them stood another figure 3 times as large as they were. It was an old Chinese that could nod his head. He was made of porcelain too, and said that he was grandfather of the little shepherdess, but this he could not prove. He asserted, moreover, that he had authority over her, and that was the reason he had nodded his assent to the General Clothes-Press Inspector, Head Superintendent Goat-Legs, who paid his address to the shepherdess. "In him," said the old Chinese, "you will have a husband who, I verily believe, is of mahogany. You will be Mrs. Goat-Legs, the wife of General Clothes-Press Inspector, Head Superintendent, who has his shelves full of plate, besides what is hidden in secret drawers and recesses." "I will not go into the dark cupboard," said the little shepherdess. "I have heard say that he has 11 wives of porcelain in there already." "Then you will be the 12th," said the Chinese. "Tonight, as soon as old Clothes-Press cracks, as sure as I am a Chinese, we will keep the wedding." And then he nodded his head and fell asleep. But the little shepherdess wept, and looked at her beloved, at the porcelain chimney-sweep. "I implore you," she said, "fly hence with me into the wide world, for here it is impossible for us to remain." "I will do all you ask," said the little chimney-sweep. "Let us instantly leave this place. I think my trade will enable me to support you." "If we were only
Sample complete. Ready to continue?